I was 22 years as a broadcast engineer at SABC. Then I got the opportunity to join CNBC Africa in August 2010, where I started there as a technical manager, and then a month later took on the role as head of technical operations. Now, I'm based in Sandton here in South Africa, but I have operations running throughout Africa in Nigeria, Kenya, currently in Gabon, but we will move through those areas as I go through my presentation. So can everybody see the screen on this side? I'm going to come a little bit closer because, like I said, the keynote address that I needed to discuss today is how will satellites affect the broadcasting in the future. Now, once I'm done, you will find that maybe I will get a lot of negative feedback from some of the providers in the satellite space, because obviously a year ago, I decided a whole new rollout plan that will enable me to get content delivery fast and efficient, so that, as you know, we are a business channel. So the quicker I can get that content, the quicker I can put it out. We are not actually a broadcaster, but a content provider. And my friend Chris here is the man that puts it on the satellite space for South Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa to see us. So on channel 410, you can get our content, which we delivered through to MultiChoice. Okay, points to think about as we go along on this presentation. Will satellites further shape Africa's broadcast market? What factors determine the changes in media production, delivery, and consumption? Do vendors keep operators updated on changes? May it be satellite, may it be fiber? Are they actually coming to, because I don't know about any one of you, but my time is of major essence within what I do. I don't have time to surf internet, go through paperwork, read through articles to find out what's new in the zoo. So I'd like providers or satellite vendors to come to me and tell me what they have to offer and try and keep me updated, which I find is not the case currently. Right. As we mentioned earlier, CNBC Africa, yes. From November last year, we decided to expand our horizons into different other entities. We stand under now the African Business News 360. We give a whole a 360 solution to everybody's whatever they need to do. So we're on print now. We do Forbes magazine. We're on ABN Digital. We're on the digital platform on web. We've got our own events company, ABN Productions. So whenever there's debates anywhere in Africa, our ABN Productions company organizes it, and it's my responsibility to try and get that information out from Africa back into South Africa so that we can be redistributed or sent to MultiChoice on our platform. And then last but not least, due to the fast growing expansion that we are currently doing, and I'll show you a little later, we've put together an ABN Training Institute, whereby we train our anchors, we train the technical staff on board here in Sandton, where we redeploy them into Africa. As it says, only one network. As you know, we have CNBC Asia, CNBC Europe, USA. So we maintain actionable, unbiased, fast, and accurate, first in business worldwide. So if we don't get that business, if we don't get that CEO or that representative wherever in the country, or the guy from the Reserve Bank, I think it's in Sumi something, to be first on our channel, how can we say that we are first in business worldwide? On our ABN Digital platform, I'm just giving you a little bit of a background because I wanted to show a few hands to see who has actually watched CNBC Africa before, who knows about it, so that you have an idea of what it is that we are doing and which space and we are entering within Africa. So basically on our ABN Digital platform, we do daily alerts that comes from Reuters, which is microwave linked straight into my office, which we make sure that the data that we receive and that we're sending to the viewers are 100% up to date obviously with the clause which says 15 seconds delay. We obviously can't give data immediately. And then our daily uploads, there again, we need speed, we need possibility. So when a CEO comes off our channel, comes off from the floor, he wants to go straight to his PC and he wants to see on our website, is he there? He wants to play his clip back. So it's not just receiving signals, but it's redistributing back into the platform. This slide shows you pretty much our distribution amongst within hotels and offices around Africa, where we try and do. We've got a distribution manager, which we've just recently appointed last year as well, which makes sure that when you walk into a bank, when you walk into hotels, when you walk into places where we keep our staff, that we have the possibility of having CNBC Africa on the TV sets. We supply the decoders, we supply the TVs, and we make it possible for them to receive those signals so that we can be present, so people know that we are there. So that is just a rundown of pretty much the amounts of the statistics. As you can see, the source was from MultiChoice, so if there's any value there, which is, this was updated in April 2012. So if any statistics are not right, Chris, yeah, blame Chris behind you. Just hold on a sec. Right, now we come to the important stuff. Right. Basically, as I mentioned earlier in my opening note, I'm taking you through 3 steps. Basically, how CNBC Africa was handed to me, how the distribution was a year ago, and I'm talking not about CNBC Africa. June this year will only be 5 years old. Started in 2007 in June, and yeah, we'll have our 5-year party hopefully in June. So I just want to give you an idea where we were at. We've got fixed camera positions in banks, in South Africa, in Nigeria, where we do crossings from those banks into the bureaus. So it's either point to point, or depending on how far the bank is from the current bureau. So, which is the point here? Shane? Middle. Where's the pointer? Oh, cool. Good stuff. Sorry about that. So basically, yeah, we're situated in South Africa. I've got my bureaus. These are current bureaus which were established already in 2008. We've got a bureau in Cape Town, Nairobi, 2 in Nigeria, Lagos, and Abuja. Within a month, we'll be in Port Harcourt, where there will be another bureau. As you can see, I get a CNBC Europe feed, which currently BT manages down a fiber link into my office. Here. The current banks. Now, if you can see here, if you know yourself, there's a problem here, right? Even though we are taking the last mile here from the vendor here into me with ATM, the 2 banks here, which is more than in the Standard Bank in town or in Lovo, I have to hop from the JSM tower back into the vendor and back to me. So every hop, as you know, is there's costs involved, and it's degrading of the signal. So I took on the challenge to say, okay, where do we go to from here on? And at that stage, we were only sending a single feed down to MultiChoice, which were distributing it on satellite to Sub-Saharan Africa and South Africa. All right. These are the banks in Nigeria, Lagos, and Abuja. During the experimental stages, I decided, let's start small, let's go fiber. At this point in time, I'd already been in the company for 6 months, and unfortunately for the satellite vendors, I think the only people that came to me within the last year and a half is Amos 5 with some solution. I don't know if it's because they weren't aware of us. I don't know if we're too small for them. But believe me, once I'm done, you would wish you had. So what I decided to do is let's start small. Let's test fiber. Is fiber reliable? How's the maintaining on it? How's the head-end equipment? What head-end equipment should we start using? So I connected 2 banks, basically Renaissance and Standard Bank, with fiber over here. Did it a year trial run, very happy, no problems. And the biggest problem that I was having with microwave, and even with satellite from the bureaus, is whether or not to do the crossing. So my major crossings that I do from Nigeria and in Africa is 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And as everybody knows, that's when it rains, in Joburg and in Nigeria. And it takes a big chunk of an editorial or programming staff member to get the CEOs and the relevant people to come onto the show. So now if you bring that CEO 2 or 3 times and he has to go or he can't be used, he's not going to come on the show any longer. So we need to find those solutions to accommodate the people that want to tell the story of what their companies are doing and partnership with them. So, and also be able to have the ability to generate revenue by splitting the beam down here to multi-choice so that I can do dual transmission between Africa and sub-Saharan Africa. SAA came on board, they said, we want to advertise advertising in sub-Saharan Africa, not South Africa. How can we stop that? So we have to put infrastructure into place. And fortunately, at that stage, the only people that came on board was Telkom. What we also, in the last year, 3 months, we did partnership expansion. Instead of outlaying the initial costs of putting up a whole bureau, which is over $1 million or 750,000 Rand up to 1.3 million, with the uplink equipment and edit suites, we decided let's partner with the TV stations in Africa, as we had done. So up to this stage, in the last 3 months, we liaised with, or partnered with Windhoek, Namibia Broadcasting, with Zambia, National Broadcasting Corporation, and over here in Gabon with Africa Practice. So on the technical side, so whatever infrastructure they have or wherever they're linking up to, we make sure we can either bring the link down or we help them to get their content to us. And in the partnership relation, we provide them with content from us so that they can put it on their channels. The geographic plan, now and future, as you can see, the existing bureaus, where they all are, Kenya, Gabon, Nigeria, up here in Joburg, Cape Town, Namibia, Zambia, I think you said Zambia. Where are we rolling out? This is the rollout plan in the next, This is the rollout plan in the next few months. We will be in Mozambique, Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Ethiopia, Ghana, and Botswana. So our plan is to be in 20 countries by the end of 2013. And it's my job to find out what is the quickest to get that content in, the cheapest way to get it in, and a system which is flexible. Now, the other problem with the satellite vendors in most cases is that the contract period that they supply is minimum 3 to 5 years. Now, if I have a fixed camera or if I have a stand-up position somewhere, which I can't guarantee that partnership for that period of time. So especially with the fixed camera positions, we sign yearly contracts with them. So I can't take a 3-year and then they don't renew after a year because then I sit with that infrastructure which I'm not using. And therefore, the companies that are doing fiber have come well on board to enable that for me and being able to be cost effective. I know this is not on fiber, but my current rollout that I'm busy with that should be implemented within the next month or two, I looked at various options. The challenge that I was having is to connect east to west. How do I, in the same production, do a crossing between Kenya and Nigeria. As I only have space on, which is now 7A, which I can do only single uplink, and then I have to bring it down to cross to the other side. My solution, fiber. I've been speaking with the fiber companies. They actually approached me, and they come time and time again. It's a 6-month battle with them, but currently the fiber that I'm able to put in, because it was instigated by a fixed camera position at Lagos State, which is more than 10 kilometers away. I don't have line of sight. I can't put repeaters in because the weather, I have to man it. So therefore the whole rollout plan of bringing in the fiber in from Nigeria office. So Lagos State will go into my Nigeria office and all the way back, because locally I can't entrust the local providers within Africa to supply me the services that I'm currently getting. Later on I will roll out into the other entities and see where there's people that will be viable. So all the local South African vendors are not allowed to sell fiber or capacity in Africa. I have to bring it all the way back to my office, which in the end of the day starts becoming very expensive. So I was able to bring this whole fiber in right into my office, cheaper than what a satellite provider could give me an uplink on a rental. So that is how my whole rollout will start, and then inevitably after that, all my fixed camera positions which are connected microwave, I will roll it out fiber. Almost done. My final thoughts. Satellite will continue to play a role in the distribution of news in Africa. Regulators struggle to create an even bandwidth playing field. Uplink and capacity costs remain a barrier in the age of mobile phones and iPads becoming a distribution platform for news. Satellite companies can become more proactive in providing capacity to especially smaller news companies. And then satellite must adapt or die and use the current dominant position that they have in the market. Any questions? Okay. Just not one or two.
Jean, thanks for that.
Yeah.
It looks like your problem is mainly around contribution with the satellite feeds. So obviously for Africa, I think satellite as a broadcast mechanism to cover the whole continent is still the only viable mechanism today. I also love fiber, but today that's the case. So fiber cost is also extremely expensive. If you take a link from London to your office, I'm sure it's costing you like $100,000 a month or something, or maybe a bit less. So how do you see the cost comparison with satellite and fiber costs for contribution?
Well, hello? For at the current, I'm glad you raised that question, because it's one of the points I failed maybe to mention in favor of satellite space is, as I mentioned, that we have ABN production, so there's a lot of events. I will never get rid of my Eutelsat, my W3A or now 7A currently, because of the when I go and do events and that, it's a thought like 2-3 days before the event's actually happening. We get sponsorship. We say, okay, let's go and do the event. The quickest way I can get that content from the event, obviously, is using the satellite space that I currently have. So when you look at that in that space, then there's great value in still to have satellite capacity. Bringing in a fiber, or like I said, from CNBC Europe, as you mentioned, bringing in fiber, yes, it's expensive if you go with an overseas market like BT. But there are local suppliers which are giving you the same service, and they're coming in much cheaper. I brought down my satellite, also some connectivity costs just last year with about 35%. And this year, it's almost another 30%. So with fiber specifically, the reduction in cost yearly is significant. And the quality of service that you're getting at the end of the day, the hardware equipment that you're using is very reliable. I haven't had any of my, well, especially the only time when they chopped up the fiber here in the roads here. But besides that, I have no downtime on it. And the weather is an important factor for me. The weather is, I sometimes have the one time, the evening between 4 and 5, the only crossing I could do was between Renaissance and Standard Bank that were fiber linked. I couldn't do any other crossing. So it depends where the value is. Yes, there is still value in satellite, but depending on your application, depending what your requirement is at the end of the day.
Just for satellite, do you use C-band or Ku-band for your contribution?
I use KU.
Okay, that's the
You
problem.
tell, yeah.
That's the problem,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because,
I do have C-band for Namibia because they use IS 1002, where I just needed to put a receiver in on my side, which I download the signal from their side. And yeah.
Sean, it's quite worrying to think that you'll be losing signal these days. Are your link budgets right? I mean, even with heavy rainstorms, is it right that today that we should be experiencing dropouts on satellite uplinks?
I don't think that at the days in the technology that we have, that should actually be happening. But everyone that stays here in Joburg and maybe have been in Nigeria already, we know what kind of storms there are. And unfortunately, those links break up. You know, it's not a total blackout sometimes, but you know, if I can't communicate, sometimes I even use Skype to do crossings. But I don't use Skype's audio channels, I use a telephone. So if Skype fails, I still can communicate, because at the end of the day, it's the communication.
Yes.
Can that person tell the viewer at home what he needs to hear?
Has anybody got any comments on rain fade issues in this modern day? Should it still be happening?
Sorry, unless there's someone else. So rain fade on KU band, and obviously the higher frequency you go, is a real factor. I mean, especially in domestic kind of installations where you use smaller dishes, the margins is you know, quite limited. So if you get heavy thunderstorms, I mean, a thunderstorm will knock out, and as you say, Nigeria, when they get like serious tropical rain, it's very, very difficult.
I think we'd agree on a consumer environment,
Yes.
but on a professional uplink?
No, I agree with you on the professional uplink. If you have a large enough dish size, it shouldn't be an issue. Except the uplinks can sometimes be knocked out because you can't, if a lightning storm like in Joburg, it comes like the clouds coming and then it's like a couple of kilometers high, you can't adjust the power up immediately. But you can adjust the power, but you got to back off sometime. So it is an issue for satellite. I think thunderstorms is a pain.
Does it also depend on path, depending on inclination as well, as opposed?
Absolutely. The further you go through the cloud, the worse.
Yes.
But because the thunderstorm is so sudden, it's not a gradual, cloud that's coming with some water vapor.
Yes.
It is a problem for satellite to do that properly.
But Jean, maybe you need to talk to somebody about that, because yours is a mission critical environment, as you say. You're uplinking. You don't want to see the signal break up halfway through a transmission. But I'm sure there's a lot of experts who would give you some advice on that.
Yeah, like I say, my offices are right here in Sandton, Stella Street, 4th floor. If there's anybody that has some solution out there going forward, as you can see, we're penetrating Africa. Hopefully, like I say, after 2013, our biggest challenge at the moment is Tunisia. Looking for some way of getting from AFDB Bank in Tunisia to get content, and also it's the licensing. It's the regulators. You know, the regulators struggle to, sometimes like in Zimbabwe, we struggle for a year and a half now to get an uplink because they associate us with as a broadcaster. We're not a broadcaster. We're a content provider. And the license or the costings associated with that is totally different. So in countries where we currently do have uplink licenses, there's no problem. But every time we need to go and do in Ethiopia, I need to get a rigger to organize us a temporary license for that hour debate that I need to do up there. So yeah, you also know that the uplink cost gets more expensive in Africa per minute after 10 minutes, whereas we get cheaper. So we have to start looking at those entities going forward. Now I don't know if it's because we're using an overseas market to supply our needs. I don't know. Anything on that? Yes.
Microphone? Oh, sorry, one on the left there, yes. We'll come back to you, sir.
I'm not sure if you have tried it or not, but some people use radiometer, which can give you, radiometer can detect up to 8-9 dB of rain fade, and then you can put it together with an uplink control, and that could resolve your problem.
Can it be linked automatically so that it'll boost power on?
Yes, we have done it. I'm from Telesat Canada.
Very
we have
good.
done it in the past. That it does work.
Okay.
Radiometer saturates at about 10 dB.
Sounds like an interesting solution,
And
Jean.
about 8 dB, 9 dB can give you. About 8 dB, I'm pretty sure. Will give
Thank you very much for that contribution.
Okay,
Right, we
thank
have a gentleman on the right here. And this will have to be the last question.
Okay.
But thanks for all these questions. This is excellent. You're all wide awake today.
So Jan Babe from Mauritius, from the Broadcasting Authority. So I was asking myself, if Mauritius was in your plans? If you intend...
Yeah, Mauritius, Godfrey Matizwa, which has gone to Mauritius a few times to do links from there. And, there's nothing worse than looking at crossing. And obviously, if you take our panel a year ago, how we were doing a lot of phonos. And we want to eliminate that because you want to associate with the person. And even just introducing, to an extent, to introducing Skype, where you get the last frozen picture. Even if his picture is frozen and you use a phono, you kind of get a relevancy of speaking. But yes, Mauritius had been on the table a while ago. It's kind of put in the back end. The feeling that I get, obviously, I'm not an expert in that field because I don't do the outlay of where the content and stuff is coming in from. But depending on the frequency or what is actually happening on the business side of Mauritius, does it validate for us to go, unless you have some arrangement that we can get with the Mauritius broadcasting company and build a relationship with them, that'll be great. That'll be great. I mean, the more the merrier.
All right, thank you for that. Well, big round of applause for Jean. Thank you very much, Jean.